morning, dear student. In today's lecture, we are very much interested to study the derived lipids. In previous lecture, we already discussed the compound lipids such as phospholipids, glycolipids, and lipoprotein. So we are very much interested in the derived lipids, in which the first is your fatty acids. The derived lipids, the first is your fatty acids. Okay, and the second one is alcohol is also there. So we know that these lipids are nothing but the esters of fatty acids and the alcoholic groups such as glycerols and different types of alcohols such as sphingosine. So after hydrolysis they are separated to use fatty acids and alcohols, and these fatty acids and alcohol is nothing but your derived lipids. So the first one, that is fatty acids. These fatty acids, these are obtained by the hydrolysis of fats. Obtained by hydrolysis of fats. Second important point is that the fatty acids occurring in natural fats usually contain an even number of carbon atoms. So whatever the fatty acids occurring in natural fats, so fatty acid occurring in natural fats contain even number of carbon atom. Again, the third important point is that the straight chain may be saturated containing no double bond or unsaturated containing one or more double bond. So whatever the fatty acid chain, the straight chain may be saturated, means without double bond. Saturated means there is no double bond. The straight chain may be saturated or unsaturated. Means it contains one or more double bonds. Again, the fourth important point regarding to these fatty acids. So these fatty acids are obtained by the hydrolysis of fats. Whatever the fatty acid which is found in fats, natural fats contain even number of carbon atom. The straight chain fatty acids may be saturated or unsaturated. Carbon atom of fatty acids are number. So whatever the numbering of this fatty acid, so carbon atom of fatty acids, carbon atom of fatty acids are number from the carboxyl carbon, So whatever the carboxyl carbon, it is carbon number 1. So the carboxyl carbon, it is considered as carbon number 1, and the carbon which is adjacent to this carboxyl carbon, it is considered as a carbon number 2, or it is also known as alpha carbon. So with respect to the C double bond O group, whatever the carbon is there, it is considered as a alpha carbon, and this carboxyl carbon, it is considered as a carbon number 1. Then the adjacent carbon, it is considered as alpha carbon. Then carbon atom number 3 is the beta carbon, and the end methyl carbon is known as gamma carbons. So the numbering is very simple. Again, the next important point is that various conventions are used to indicate the number and the position of double bond. That is various convention various convention various conventions are used for indicating for indicating indicating the number of number and the position of double bond. Number and position of double bond. Number and position of double bond. For example, if you consider the example, so you should remember this point regarding to these fatty acids. They are obtained by the hydrolysis of fats. The straight chain may be saturated or unsaturated. Saturated means no any double bond. Unsaturated means it contain one or more double bond. Again, the carbon atom of fatty acids are number from the carboxyl carbon. So whatever the carbonyl carbon, it is considered as carbon number 1, and whatever the carbon which is adjacent to this carbon number 1, it is considered as alpha carbon, then it is beta, gamma, like that. Various conventions are used for indicating the number and position of double bond. For example, let's consider the example. For example, if you consider example, that is del 9, what it indicate? It indicates a double bond, between carbon atom 9 and 10 of fatty acids. So the del 9 indicate a double bond between carbon atom 9 and 10 of fatty acids. Again, the next important point is that the types of fatty acids. Types of fatty acids they are classified. First, that is straight chain fatty acid. Second, branch chain. Third, substituted such as methyl substituted, and the fourth one, that is cyclic. So at least you should know the types of fatty acid, that is straight chain, branch chain, substituted, and cyclic. So we are very much interested only in straight chain. So this straight chain may be your saturated or unsaturated fatty acids. At least you should know different types of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. No doubt, all they are important, but at least you should know the characteristics of the fats, and then the convention which is used, and then different types, and which are the fatty acids present in this straight chain, which is saturated and unsaturated. So let's discuss the first one, that is saturated fatty acids. Let us discuss the first one, that is straight chain fatty acid, not saturated. Straight chain fatty acid. Let us discuss the first one, that is straight chain fatty acids. straight chain fatty acids, in which the first point is that a saturated straight chain contains saturated as well as unsaturated. So the first one is saturated, that is in saturated again the odd one is there, odd carbon atom is there. It contains less than 10 carbon atom, 10 carbon atom, saturated, but it is odd, less than 10 carbon atom. And second one that is even greater than 10 carbon atom, greater than 10 carbon atom. So straight chain first, that is saturated, the odd which containing less than 10 carbon atom, and even greater than 10 carbon atom. And the second, that is saturated fatty acid, straight chain fatty acids, saturated, unsaturated, it is not saturated. Second, that is unsaturated. Again, if you see this unsaturated, odd and even, so they are not separate, odd and even, okay. Straight chain even number of fatty acid is more common. So in this case, even chain or straight chain even number of fatty acid. So unsaturated. So first, you know the different types. Again, the first one is straight chain. In straight chain, first that is saturated, and second that is unsaturated. Saturated means does not contain any carbon-carbon double bond. Unsaturated means contain one or more than one carbon-carbon double bond. So in saturated, odd even is there, odd carbon atom is there, even carbon atom is there. Whatever the odd, it contain less than 10 carbon atom. Whatever the even, it contain more than 10 carbon atom. And unsaturated, odd and even is there, but the straight chain even number of fatty acid is more common. So you should remember the straight chain even number of fatty acid, even number of fatty acids are more common, are more common. Let us discuss the first one. So this is all about the straight chain, in which the first one is saturated fatty acid and second one is unsaturated fatty acid. So let us discuss the saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. Let us discuss the first one, that is saturated fatty acids. So saturated fatty acids. Saturated fatty acid. If you see the general formula for this saturated fatty acid, it is CnH2n plus 1 and having COH group is there. So you should remember this point. The saturated fatty acids means without double bond, having the general formula CnH2n plus 1 COH. Okay, and if you see the examples of this saturated fatty acids, here I will write the name of these fatty acids, then their formula, and the carbon atom is there. So how many carbon atom is there? Okay, so the first one, that is your acetic acid. So we are very much familiar with this acetic acid. The formula is CH3COOH. The number of carbon atom is 2. So this carbonyl carbon, it is considered as a carbon number 1, and whatever the carbon which is adjacent to this carbonyl, it is considered as a carbon number 2, or it is your alpha carbon. So carbon atom, so total 2 carbon atom is there. Second one is your propoinic. So it is your C2H5COH is there. C2H5COH is there. So total 3 carbon is there. C2H5 means CH3CH2COH is there. Again, the next one, that is butyric, is there. Butyric, C3H7COH is there. C3H7COH, 41. And then the next one is caproic. So first acetic acid, second propoinic, third butyric, fourth caproic. That is your C5H11COOH. The carbon atom is 6. Total 6 carbon atom, like that. So again, if you consider, the next one is let us discuss. The next one is caprylic. Caprylic, it is having formula C7H15COH is there. So it contains 8 carbon. Again, the next one, that is decanic or capric. Decanic, it is C9H19COH group is there. It contains 10. Then there is a lauric acid is there. Lauric, it is C11H23COH group is there. So it containing total 12 carbon. Then next one is myristic fatty acid. Myristic, MYRISTIC, myristic. So it having a formula C13H27, like that, COH. So total carbon is 14. So total carbon is 14. Myristic. Then next one is palmitic. If you see it is C15H31COH group is there. So total carbon is 60. Carbon atom is 60, like that. Palmitic is there. Then there is a steric is there, archaic is there, behenic, and lignoceric is there. So this is regarding to the saturated fatty acids. General formula CnH2n plus 1. They are generally the saturated or the straight chain fatty acids are contain even number of carbon atoms. So we see this 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So this is regarding to the saturated fatty acids. So it does not contain any double bond in the straight chain. So let us discuss the next one, that is unsaturated fatty acids. Second, that is unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acids. So they having a general formula, that is CnH2n minus 1, H2n minus 1 having COH group is there. CnH2n minus 1 COH group is there. Again, if you see the example of this unsaturated fatty acids, the type of the fatty acid, that is monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. So the first example is your Monounsaturated. Monounsaturated means it contain only one double bond. Monounsaturated, the example is example of this monounsaturated is palmitonic and second is oleic acid is there. Palmitolic and second is oleic acid is there. If you see the formula, then it is C15H29 COH is there, and if you see the oleic acid, then it is C17H33 COH group is there. And again, if you see the position, that is the double bond, it is at del 9, and here at it is also having a del 9. So what it indicate? So these are the monounsaturated fatty acid. Monounsaturated means only one double bond in straight chain, such as palmitolic, and second is oleic acid. So this del 9 indicate there is a double bond, only one double bond between carbon number 9 and carbon number 10. Again, the second one, that is polyunsaturated fatty acids. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. The first example of this polyunsaturated is linoleic acid. Its formula is C17H31 having COH group is there. Linoleic is there. The second one is linolenic. Its formula is C17H29 COH group is there. Okay, and if you see the convention for this linoleic, it is del 9 and del 12, and for linolenic it is del 9, del 12 and del 15 is there. So what it indicate? There is a more than one double bond. So del 9 between carbon number the double bond between carbon number 9 and 10. Again, del 12 indicates the double bond between carbon number 12 and 30. Similarly, linolenic contain 3 carbon-carbon double bond between carbon number 9 and 10, 12 and 13, 15 and 16, like that. So this is regarding to the derived lipids, that is fatty acids. So we are not very much interested in the alcoholic part of this derived lipids. So we are very much interested only the fatty acids. So you should know what is this what are the characteristics of this fatty acid, then the types of the fatty acids, and mainly the saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids, and the difference between saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids. In next lecture, we are very much interested to find out the acid number, then the saponification value, then the iodine numbers. So one by one we will discuss the procedure for determining the acid number, iodine number and the saponification value. Thank you.